announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. This right here is the Flex Network. Yeah. Flex on the G. Flex.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, it is that time of the week again. It is the Weekend Review Show here on the Flex Network, talking to you about what has been going on in the world of wrestling. And man, it has been I know I say this every week, but as this whole virus thing keeps us all inside, and there's some limited programming we can watch, limited, reruns. The one thing that's constant is that wrestling is still going on, at least with WWE, at least with maybe some Impact, even though I can't watch it because I don't have that cable channel. So yeah. AEW still going on. So we get some fresh takes every week. And you know what? It is still good enough. But this week is especially talkative of what's been going on, bringing up the past. And now I'm going to get into a little bit more. But before we get too far, you know how we do this every single week when we kick off the show. And that is, we are live. Yeah, we're live and living in color. And you can see I'm in my element. I'm in the ring as we're heading down the road to Backlash for the WWE. We're on the road to In Your House NXT. And we're on the road to Double or Nothing for AEW coming up in 2 days in Jacksonville, Florida. So that is going to be an awesome event to go out and check. Go and get. It's going to be a fun blast. But we're going to talk about some stuff about what's been going on in the world of wrestling. And we're going to get into some things. We're going to talk about what's been, some news that's been going on with WWE. With what's been happening on the TV, on the shows, talk some AEW, and get you guys hyped up for the Double or Nothing card this Saturday. And it's looking to be very good, so it should be fun. But we're also going to talk about something that a lot of people have been talking about every year the Hall of Fame comes up, one name gets hammered, and I mean legitimately hammered, of who and they need to be in the Hall of Fame. And we're going to get to that. And I'm going to have a lot to talk about that. So if you got comments, you got questions about it, if you want to join in on the conversation, you can drop in, post a comment on the video, live chat. We're seeing it. I'm going to see it. And we're going to talk about it. But let's get into it. So SmackDown this past week, the Blue Brand, the start of the Intercontinental Championship tournament. That was one of the high points about this whole night. Was the start of the vacant Intercontinental Championship tournament. First round matchups: Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak, and Sheamus and Jeff Hardy are going to be next week. I'll get into that in a little bit. But Baron Corbin and Elias getting into it. And you know what? I actually enjoyed this with Elias picking up the victory. Especially his reaction with the whole getting his guitar smashed and bashed by King Corbin. That was enjoyable. But to see that flip, that change in attitude of Elias with this whole rivalry that they're going through right now, with Elias costing Baron Corbin the Intercontinental or the Money in the Bank at the contract at Money in the Bank at the Titan Tower. And then to see in this first round matchup that Corbin smashes Elias's guitar, and then you just see this switch. Like, oh, now things about to get serious. And we're seeing this more focused Elias, which is going to be, I'm going to say it, it's going to be very interesting and very good to see. And it's going to, and I want to say it's going to help, in his probably in his next matchup, which we'll cover in a little bit. This coming Friday, I believe it's going to be this Friday. Haven't checked, but so yeah, that match was pretty good. I'll give it that. With Elias picking up the victory, moving on to the second round. Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, that one was a real good technical match. I'll give it that. Another great technical match out of these two. And to see Daniel Bryan pull it out again, and this is the same guy that Daniel Bryan is the same guy that is fighting for the Intercontinental Championship. The last championship that he held before he had to do the first round of retirement, before he had to go and retire. This is the last title he won and had to vacate. And before Elimination Chamber, where we had the Intercontinental Championship on the line in the Chamber match several years ago. So to say that I hope that Daniel Bryan can get the Intercontinental Championship and right the wrong that his previous reign with it was, I'm hoping that's going to be the case. But to say that, it's come out, at least in his mindset, that he's going to be trying to get more of a part-time role, not be a full-time wrestler. I don't know exactly when he wants to start that, transition from not being a full-timer to just being a part-timer. He might be in it right now, but to say the least, that Daniel Bryan in the Intercontinental Championship tournament and having an opportunity to get the title back and to have a good run with it, I believe that would be a great thing for him. He's a workhorse, and this is a worker's title that is like legendary, to the degree that the Intercontinental Championship has been associated with the workhorses, the ones who can put on the good, the great matches that, people would want to see, like Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles in a good wrestling match. That would be a good case, unlike the previous match that these two had with Daniel Bryan low blowing AJ Styles and stealing the WWE Championship and doing that whole protector of Earth kind of, green person. That entire, the yes movement is dead. And yeah, that was bad. But if we can get a true AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, if Daniel Bryan was champion for the Intercontinental Championship, I believe that would be a great straight up match right there. But again, that's also going to determine what's going to happen in the tournament with Sheamus and Jeff Hardy in another first round matchup. And then AJ versus Shinsuke in the other first round matchup. That is going to be good. If you remember WrestleMania 32, I want to say it's 32, maybe 33, but it was the second time around in New Orleans, AJ Styles and Shinsuke for the WWE Championship, and that whole the first instance of the low blow, where we were going to get the dream match, but we got at the end on the grand stage. But with everyone, different now, and it should be a good match, coming up with in the Intercontinental Championship match or tournament match. Other highlights, really, Dana Brooke defeating Naomi. Dana Brooke is finally getting her push. I want to say she's finally getting her push into getting a future or maybe even a great opportunity at the Women's Championship. However, I said this, been saying this for the last several weeks. And granted, this week we're going to get Charlotte versus Bayley, a champion versus champion match. And you know what? Charlotte officially planted the seeds for the Banks versus Bayley at sometime at SummerSlam. I'm going to say it. It will happen at SummerSlam. I'm putting money on it that it will happen at SummerSlam. And she planted the seeds. Charlotte planted the seeds, but I'm going to bet we're going to see more of it as we go along. But with everything going on with with Dana now starting to get momentum and get into the title picture, hopefully that we're going to get hopefully either after SummerSlam or maybe even for Backlash. I would even go to say Backlash, we'll see Dana Brooke versus Bayley, and maybe in some form or some degree, Bayley either get close, really very, very, very close to losing the title, and the seeds of growing more and more for this rivalry with Sasha, or Dana picks up the victory and the women's championship the SmackDown Women's Championship at Backlash for the and picks up the championship and causes the big rift between Bayley and Banks because Sasha cost Bayley the title, or you weren't a good friend, that kind of idea. So I believe that should be happening and probably will happen. It would be a good, great idea to see. And then, of course, the tag team match between Miz and Morrison versus Otis and a mystery partner who turned out to be Braun Strowman. Yeah, Mr. Money in the Bank and the Monster Among Men, the Universal Champion, pick up the victory over Miz and Morrison. And Otis, of course, jokingly around at the end, right before they cut off the show, they're like, "Oh, I was just joking, man. I was good. I just want to get a laugh at you for trying to cash in that Money in the Bank contract. But I just want to do for joke. Yeah, you gotta love that. We need some good fun with it. But yeah, so this we know that tomorrow night, 100%, it will be champion versus champion, Charlotte versus Bayley, 1-on-1. The NXT Women's Champ taking on the SmackDown Women's Champ. Let's get over to Raw a little bit. Of course, there's been a lot more growing on Raw. A lot, granted, SmackDown's had fewer and fewer in-ring action last little while, but Raw seems to be turning out a lot more matches. Granted, the viewership for Raw has been starting to drop. It's, the way it feels like, but some high points. We now know it will be Edge versus Orton at Backlash one more time. That's going to be good. We're starting to see more and more of an idea with the women's tag titles, who might be the first challenger for the Raw Women's Championship, who's going to be challenging for the WWE Championship. And surprisingly, I'm going to talk about the women's tag titles. Iconics get their first opportunity on Raw after picking up a victory last week and getting an opportunity. Bliss and Cross pick up the victory thanks to an unfortunate disqualification, thanks to Peyton Royce just deciding to go berserk on Alexa Bliss and just toss her into the corner ring post unconditionally, and to the point where the ref had to call it because she was not, or sorry, not Peyton, yeah, Peyton Royce, for uh, you know, just not being the legal person in the ring and just kept tossing her into the ring post, which causes the DQ. I mean, granted, I can understand if Payne came in, broke up the count, got back out or dragged her partner over, tagged in, and then went to town. But to cause that kind of a disqualification, I can understand. Heat of the moment, and it sucks for the Iconics because they're coming back, fresh off their break, whatever, for unknown reasons. They're now getting back in the women's tag title picture, of course, because they're the really legit tag team that they are in the women's division, other than Bliss and Cross, because everyone else is just thrown together. But anyhow, backstage we get the heat of the moment between Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and we get the slap from Billie. We get the slap in the heat of the moment. And you know what? Like a lot of people, I'm like, I watch that and I see that moment happening. I'm like, oh, shoot. We're going to have a split here. We're going to have a big old fraction. We're going to have more individuals and less tag team wrestling for the women's tag titles. Or at least something down the line where it's like, okay, maybe they win the tag titles, but then there's betrayal to some degree that we're going to get. It's going to revolve back to this moment, back to the slap backstage. In the heat of the moment after losing the tag titles, and I mean, not the tag title opportunity. It's going to be a very, very interesting time for the Iconics now. Can't wait to see it. Let's see. Charlotte defeated Ruby Riott. And the other big moment, the two big moments three. KO brings on Garza, Andrade, and Austin Theory onto the KO show. Apollo Crews comes down. We got an impromptu tag team match. Austin Theory attempts to help Angel Garza and Andrade win their match. Miscommunication again. KO and Crews pick up the victory. And we just get, sorry. Austin Theory's like, sorry, it was, accident, wasn't trying to hit you guys, wasn't trying to screw this up. And then we get the beat down. And, just the destruction of this once prominent trio of Zelina, Andrade, Angel Garza, Austin Theory. This group right here that had potential, but now no more. And basically just kicked Austin Theory to the curb, but not for long, because while he's recuperating during the Aleister Black and Murphy match, he's still down there ringside recuperating. We get Seth, suit and tie, calm, cool, collected, just come over and give a helping hand to Austin Theory. That on its own, to add another member to the group of the Monday Night Messiah group, to add another along with the AOP, Murphy, and Austin Theory to come in and, Austin Theory to go, send him in and attack Aleister Black and essentially join the Monday Night Messiah, crew. That is just this keeps growing, and the gospel of the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, is just growing exponentially, just growing week by week. You got what? 4 disciples and the main man right there. That's going to be an unstoppable force if they can get everyone in at the same time and, AOP go for tag titles. Murphy goes for U.S. title. Austin Theory maybe brings up the cruiserweight title. And then Seth Rollins goes for the WWE Championship again. And you got yourself a monopoly right here of potential people holding championships and dominating Raw and just having content galore. Now, granted, content galore right now, and I'm done with with Seth and the Money Night Massacre. The tag team champions right now, the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, going at it in basketball game last week. This past week, we go to axe throwing. And let me say that again, axe throwing. You know what? I'll give the guys some credit. They're creating content. They're creating some anticipation. They're creating some good, good entertainment value right now with Street Profits and the Viking Raiders going at it other than wrestling and going for the tag titles. They're creating some good content with the axe throwing and everything with it. It's good. I got to give it that. But sooner or later, we're going to have to get to the tag title situation again. We're going to have to get to another match or, they got to be defended. And granted, now a whole lot of people on the roster that, could probably give them a run for the money right now. But again, if you bring AOP back, you got another group to add into the men's tag team division on Raw. And of course, holding all the, the tag titles for all the titles for the Money Night Messiah crew. That would be interesting and good to see. Man, just some good stuff going on Raw. I mean, viewership's going down maybe because there's a lot of drag out, short stuff, but either way. And of course, McIntyre gets challenged by Lashley for the WWE Championship after beating up on Corbin. McIntyre beats up Corbin, and I don't know why we need to see Corbin on Raw, even thinking he could be in the same ballpark as Drew McIntyre in the WWE title right now. But yeah, so it's going to be looking like MVP and Lashley are starting to get back into that BDC crew mentality from back in TNA days from several years ago. That would be a interesting feat to see right there. Let's head on over down to we'll head to NXT, then we'll talk some AEW Dynamite. What happened? NXT Cross defeating another scrub Gray. I'm not even going to try to say his first name, so I'm just going with Gray. So Cross then, after destroying him, gets challenged by Ciampa for Takeover in Your House. And that's going to be a good match. I will guarantee that. That's going to be one heck of a match. Granite Cross coming in and just doing the demolition of all the Performance Center scrubs. But Ciampa and Cross, that one should be a very good one coming up at TakeOver. And then we move on over to Mia Yim and Santana Garrity. That Mia Yim going through that, is a good match. It was a good, okay match, but it's afterwards. Johnny Gargano and Candice come on out, talk up on Mia, attack Mia for a little bit up until the Limitless. Got the Limitless Keith Lee, the NXT North American champion, comes on out and provides some backup for Mia Yim. That is, again, another great opportunity for great match right there, especially at TakeOver in your house, either it be a tag match or even it's for the NXT North America title, Gargano and Keith Lee. That's going to be a damn good one. A real good one to watch, to sit down and watch. Keith Lee matches, of late, especially on takeovers, these have been hella good. They've been hella good to sit down and enjoy and expect the unexpected moments, which is always a good thing, especially in the NXT realm. It's always hella good. And then let's see get on down to next week. We're going to have a championship celebration for Undisputed Era, especially for, more likely Adam Cole, for celebrating his 1-year reign as NXT champion. Shockingly, it has been a very interesting year for Mr. Adam Cole, holding on to that NXT championship, defending on Raw, defending on SmackDown before Survivor Series, the War Games, and the Takeover Portland matchup with Ciampa. Yeah, it's just been a good, very, very well received year of Adam Cole winning the title and holding on for a year. It's been a very good platform for him to do all this stuff and to have all these good moments and great matches with the title. And then the other big highlight of the night, Iro Shira, taking on Rhea Ripley, ends in a no contest. Thanks to Charlotte. I say again, thanks to Charlotte Flair, we had another run-in in a good matchup, but then of course Charlotte comes into the picture. But that's gonna be a good thing, because it's more than likely gonna set up a triple threat match for In Your House for the takeover show. That's gonna be I hope that it either actually, I'm just hoping that Ripley regains the title. That was such a good momentum boost for NXT to finally get the title off of Shayna and to give it to Rhea. She was a great and awesome champion. And granted, losing at WrestleMania and having that NXT title defended at WrestleMania as a moment, and to say I was the champion on that card was awesome, is a good thing. So more than likely, this is just going to set up a triple threat match for TakeOver In Your House. And that was, essentially NXT right there. Getting down to the nitty gritty on with what's been happening on the Black and Gold brand. Heading on over to AEW for a quick stint. Actually, you know what? Before we get to AEW, we're going to check over on the news report. Obviously, the big shock value or the shock moment of the week. Former WWE superstar and Crime Time member or in WWE, the Crime Time tag team, Shad Gaspar was found dead on Venice Beach on yesterday, after a search was called off for him on Tuesday from Sunday. He was with his son. There was a strong riptide at the beach at Marina Del Rey. Lifeguards were attempting to get the people out of the water due to the conditions. Shad had told the lifeguards to go get his son, his 10-year-old son, to help him out before they come and help him, and essentially helped save his son from getting sucked underneath, and essentially lost at sea for the several days. Um, but the Coast Guard and everyone, people were searching up and down for the last several days. Unfortunately, on Wednesday, he turned up on on Venice Beach, found passed away at 39 years old. Um, it's just a sad thing to know that um, we lost another really talented superstar, but it brings a lot of comfort to know that in his final act, he was caring enough to try to, or a lot to get his son to safety, and to tell the lifeguards to um, go save my son first. Go and save him before you save me. So, to say the least, he died a hero. He sacrificed himself to save his son, and that is the most sincere thing you can ever do. Um, it's unfortunate we lost him this way. Just getting sucked down to the ocean, and then uh, with the losing him to a riptide, and just getting pulled under. Uh, he was only 39 years old. Rest in peace, Shad. Thank you for the good memories with Crime Time on WWE. Uh, and there is a shirt out. If you follow on Natalia's Twitter, believe she had tweet about it. If I can find it, for I'll say it. But yeah, so yeah, about 19 hours ago. So Collar X Elbow is doing a special shirt. You can order a shirt. It is a in tribute for Shad, and 100% all the proceeds that go to this shirt, or that are bought for this shirt, will go directly to his family for for the for obvious reasons, for the funeral and everything. But 100% of the proceeds will go of the shirt. It is very cool. It's a cool looking shirt. Go out and check it out. See if I can find it for you guys on here. Let me uh let me just try and bring this up for you guys. Just having to log in and find it. Did you? Nat. Okay, let's get that on up. So yeah, I'm just gonna bring that full screen. So yeah, 100% of the proceeds will go from the shirts being sold, will go to the Shad's family. Is a cool looking shirt. I highly recommend you guys go out and buy one. We're not sponsoring. We're just sharing this, as a good gesture for someone who made a sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice for his own son, and he's a wrestler. So again, it's just passing along some good vibes. Is a cool looking shirt. Hope that the proceeds, all of it, is they sell a lot of shirts, and hope that this helps the family and what tragically happened this past weekend. Whew. Whew. Let's get into some more positive news. That we'll talk about the. I'll have my last shtick at the very end about the other big um, talking point of this past week. But let's head on over to AEW quickly. AEW this week was good. They're heading on the road to Double or Nothing in Jacksonville. Is going to be a banging pay-per-view. Go and check it out. We'll talk about that in a few moments. AEW, of course. Dynamite this past Wednesday. Moxley defeated 10. I'm not kidding you. The number 10. And broke his arm in the process trying to get his title back and get Brody Lee out there. But Brody sacrificed 10 for the greater good. And it cost 10 his arm for the moment. MJF defeating Jungle Boy was okay match. Phoenix defeating Orange Cassidy. It was an okay match. I'll give it that. It was okay. Matt Hardy defeating Sammy Garva. And then afterwards, all hell breaks loose between the Inner Circle and the Elite, all the way through, ending to back up on the football field at Jacksonville, where the Jaguars play. And we got to see the return of the Young Bucks as they are heading down the road into their stadium stampede match. And what's funny is, well, if you notice during the fight, where Adam Page comes in, Hangman Page comes in. You can start seeing it, watch a little bit back. You'll see someone just run out of like the side of a stadium, run out, and then just beelines it in a straight line, darts like a 50-yard sprint, just darts on down and just shapoink. arm closing, like, yeah, we got Michael. It's like, yeah, All Elite Wrestling. And Lou God is like, yeah, I got. But yeah, so just to see Adam Hangman Page essentially run a 30-yard, 50-yard dash in cowboy boots and just shink down the line, it was a fun and awesome thing to see. It was cool. And to also get the Young Bucks back. That was another cool point. But as they're pulling out, you could see the Elite, the Elite, the Elite, the Elite logo on the football field. As they're, and playing out the theme, it's like, it was so cool just to see, and very well put. I mean, if you're going to have a stadium stampede match inside of a stadium on a football field, might as well paint the end zones, the logos. I'm pretty sure the other side of the other touchdown zones, the other end zones got the Inner Circle logo painted on, while the home side's got the Elite, the Elite. So it's going to be a fun pay-per-view this Saturday. Double or Nothing, the return of Double or Nothing. We are going to have the finals of the inaugural AEW TNT Championship, with Cody taking on Lance Archer, and the winner will be presented the title by none other than WWE Hall of Famer and former heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson. Yes, Iron Mike Tyson will be at AEW Double or Nothing. I'm probably going to be expecting a good moment. Probably, some bear ice get some ice for the jaw. Moving on. MJF takes on Jungle Boy one more time. And then the AEW World Heavyweight Champ World title will be on the line. Moxley will take on Mr. Brody Lee. And then a no DQ, no count out match for the women's world title. Nyla Rose will take on Hiroku Shida. Hiroku Shida. One-on-one, no DQ, no count-outs. That should be a brawl right there. A good old knockdown, dragon-out brawl on the women's side. Britt Baker will take on Chris Statlander. One-on-one action. Dustin Rhodes will take on Shawn Spears one-on-one. And then in a casino ladder match for a future world title opportunity. It will be Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Ray Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Saban, Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and a mystery opponent. And we found out what the rules are going to be. There will be a poker chip hanging above the ring. There will be 2 competitors to start the match. Every 90 seconds, a new competitor will join in, and the first person to retrieve the poker chip will have a future world title match guaranteed. So it's going to be an interesting match. I mean, granted, with the buy-in and everything, or sorry, it's not on the buy-in. The buy-in is going to be Private Party taking on Best Friends to determine a number 1 contender for the AEW tag team titles that Kenny Omega and Hangman Page hold right now for the Elite. But back to the ladder match. That's going to be a very interesting ladder match. It's going to be cool. Can't wait to see who the last mystery opponent is going to be in it. Should be a hell of a good shocker right there. And then, of course, the big bad final main event of the night, the Stadium Stampede match. Matt Hardy and the Elite of Adam Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson taking on the inner circle of the champion, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Garva, the Sex God, and Santana and Ortiz. And it is going to be a good brawl inside the stadium. Should be a blast. And that is going to be your AEW Double or Nothing card coming up this Saturday. Make sure you get the pay-per-view. Go and buy it. Check out some good wrestling. It should be wicked awesome. Should be good. And then, of course, we're going to be heading on down the road to Backlash and to NXT TakeOver in your house. That should be all good, well and good. And we're going to talk more about that when more matches are announced. But now it's time to get that serious moment in. Let's get that serious moment in. That serious moment face. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, over the week, if you have not been really watching or even knew existed or not really even know, but there's been a documentary going, or not really a documentary, but a show on Vice highlighting and going through the dark seeds, the dark times in professional wrestling, the dark side of the ring, as it's called. And season 2 of its trial, of its showing, happened this past week. Now, its previous episodes, the one that really kicked it off was a 2-parter with the Rabid Wolverine, Chris Benoit, and the double murder suicide actions back in 07, 08, I want to say. Let me just double check my sorry, 07. So yeah, the 07 double murder suicide covered that. Talking about the Road Warriors and what happened with that. Talking about the legendary Von Erich family and all the deaths surrounding that. That literally just tragic, family that is just plagued with death and suicides. It's just so, tragic to happen to one family. Have so many brothers just die or, commit suicide. But anyhow, go out and check that out. You can find it on YouTube or check it on Vice. But anyhow, The show-stopping season finale, talking about the Owen Hart tragedy. First of all, for those who don't know the name Owen Hart, he is the youngest brother of the legendary Hart Foundation, Hart family, with Bret the Hitman Hart, British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith, who's brother-in-law, uh, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, brother-in-law. But Owen is the youngest of the Hart family brothers, with Bret and the rest of his family. He is the youngest and had the most, potential and the most talent. This episode was covering essentially the events leading up to the Over the Edge pay-per-view. Now, I'm going to give you guys the footnotes. And shockingly enough, we are 2 days away. Literally, I kid you not, 2 days away from celebrating, not really celebrating, but the 21st anniversary of his death. 21 years ago on Saturday, we lost Owen Hart at age 34. And his death was because of I'm going to say mistake in the rigging of, he was supposed to make an entrance from the top of the ceiling, top of the roof in Kansas City at Over the Edge pay-per-view in 1999 as the Blue Blazer. Getting up there, he was getting set, locked into his harness, and was over the railing for, to get himself set up for his entrance. Well, as soon as he had literally got over the railing and was getting himself set, while the lights were dark and everyone was a lot of people were paying attention to the Titantron that was playing, the promo that he had cut earlier to get ready. We unexpectedly get a drop, a free-falling drop that no one in their right mind would have ever expected. Owen fell 80 feet, hit the rope, the top rope, 1 foot away from the top turnbuckle, closest to the commentator side. Landed chest first on the top rope. Was not part of any plan or anything. And immediately after it happened, you could see the face in JR and King, breaking it down, or at least trying to, explain what is going on. You don't see King. He ran into the ring to help, get the paramedics and trying to help, along with one of the referees that was already in the ring who, was checking the ropes, and all of a sudden he just gets this whiplash from the rope as he was, checking to make sure it was good, and he gets a whiplash from his hand, hurting because Owen had just fallen. And then the EMTs come in, take him out, and he was, at the hospital, he was pronounced dead at age 34. So, 4 weeks after the tragedy, that took Owen Life's heart. His wife, the widow of Owen Hart, Martha Hart, sues the WWE from, with her doing an investigation of her own and trying to figure out why this happened. Why did Owen Hart die such, why did he die this way? Was he taken away? And revealing, going through, even went up to Kansas City and went to the arena and went, up on the catwalk to where essentially his final moments and to see how far he went down. And so 4 weeks later, Martha sues the WWE and sues the rigging company that was in charge of the stunt. And shocking to hear what was transpiring, at least on Martha's side of the story, that was documented on this Dark Side of the Ring. And to see the clip that was essentially part of the rigging that was holding Owen Hart, and to find out that this clip was used primarily on sailboats for a quick release. This was a quick release clip that will allow, someone, at least the idea for the stunt, for the entrance was for Owen to come down. He got to a certain point, quick released himself out of the harness, and he was ready to go. Trying to do what WCW was doing with Sting, because he did the falling or doing rappelling from the roof, from the rafters of the roof down to the ground quick, and then he had the quick release. Well, the clip that was used was primarily used for sailboats so that they can, quick release, the mass, and it only holds 6 pounds. To say the least, the rigging company the rigging people that set up this stunt used a clip that would allow a 6-pound limit before it would snap off, or not really snap off, but would essentially disconnect. And Owen Hart at 8 was about 200 plus at that time. And you're about 80 feet above the arena, above the floor. And to hear that this was just the clip was only a 6-pound weight limit, and that is what essentially was what killed this man as he free falled to the ground, to the ring, is just bewithered. But yeah, so Martha sues the WWE for files a lawsuit for negligence against WWE in Kansas City. But WWE wanted to move the case to Connecticut to avoid punitive damages. And what we're also hearing is that WWE also sued Martha, sued her back for, Owen's contract breaking. A lot of different stuff going on. And everything that happened was with Martha suing the WWF at the time, caused a split in the entire Hart family, to where members were going against Martha. Some were not even interested in it. They were like, we don't want nothing to do with it. They were not on her side. Some were not on her side. Some were even helping WWE because it's WWE. I mean, there's no really other big, wrestling company, period. But anyhow, moving along. A year and a half later, WWE settles the lawsuit for $18 million. And Martha didn't even want to settle. She wanted to go to trial. She wanted justice for Owen Hart's death, which she will never get. The true justice of knowing someone was at fault. But WWE settles the lawsuit for $18 million, and the money that was used was funded to create the Owen Hart Foundation. It supports a variety of programs, including helping low-income families and individuals purchasing homes, and a scholarship program for students in Canada. So the money was used for good, really good programs and good sense. However, because of this tragedy and essentially what happened between WWE and Martha and everything going on with it, Martha Hart has decreed years and years and years ago, but this was never new news, but decreed that Owen Hart would never be allowed to be entered into WWE's Hall of Fame, and that WWE was never to use Owen Hart's image, likeness, anything with Owen Hart. They were never to use anything for Owen for profit without her permission. Because another lawsuit came up in 2010 because WWE had used Owen's name and likeness as well as personal photos of Hart's family in the WWE DVD Heart and Soul, and they failed to make royalty payments for the usage of Owen's name and likeness and in that DVD without the permission. But the matter was settled was scheduled to go to trial in 2013 before a settlement was reached in April of 2013 for an undisclosed amount. So basically that entire episode was going over at least Martha's and side of what happened in the Owen Hart tragedy, and to hear everything that's transpired from 99 all the way through till about when they eventually started doing this documentary or documentation of this, it just brings back so much wonder of like, wow, how number one, how could someone just fall that far and there not be a real investigation? Because the controversy that what happened with this whole thing is that Owen falls. He essentially, there's a crime that happened. Not really a crime per se, at least in a lot of people's minds. Maybe in your mind, if you go and watch it and you hear, or if you remember. But if you go back, I mean, not really go back, but if you really think about it, someone just fell 80 feet and needs medical attention. Generally there would be, someone would be calling the cops and, oh yeah, we need to stop the show. But here's the thing, because there's a crime and we need to have after crime scene to try to figure out what happened. Here's the thing. To say the least, this whole idea of stopping the show, calling police. Now, granted, the police would probably be in there in maybe a little, not long after Owen had probably was on his way to the hospital. That would have caused problems with WWE already because we just had an accidental fall. Essentially, it was an accidental fall that shouldn't have happened. But to call, have police called, and like, okay, well, we got to do a criminal investigation. I mean, we got to do an investigation to figure out what happened. You have had everyone in that arena pissed. I mean, I'm actually, I'm going to take that back a little bit. A lot of people have thought, okay, what's going on, what's happening, and then it would have progressed into there. But for the people at home who bought the pay-per-view and are like getting fed, like, okay, well, what's going on? Well, Owen Hart fell. Is okay. Okay, well, we'll sitting there waiting there, and then for 10 minutes, and then up until the next match that happened, it's the cameras panned out to the crowd because they're not showing what's going on in the ring. And granted, they didn't, because it would have been bad, very, very bad. But more than likely, there would have not been the need essentially for the police, is at least in my mind, because again, this was an accidental death. It's not like someone was hanging out over the edge, uh, you know, over the edge of the scaffolding, cut the rope, and then said bye bye. No, it was a mechanical failure from something that shouldn't have even been attached. Now, granted, the lawsuit that was filed back then should have gotten to the company that was doing the rigging and doing the stunt. They should have been at fault, heavily in fault with this. But we don't know. I guess there was a settlement with this. At least to my understanding, I know someone out there is probably going to comment and say, "Well, this will happen. This is just what I'm thinking, off the top of my head of what is thinking." So relax. But again, this was 98, 99, and for a year and a half, they were back and forth in the courts until the settlement of the $18 million. But truth be told, for the fans out there that have been, saying we want Owen in the Hall of Fame and the WWE Hall of Fame, that one's the touchiest part. I mean, literally the touchiest part, because here you have someone who has been with WWE like most of his wrestling career, other than the Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, other than going to Japan for maybe a quick stint. But outside of Stampede Wrestling, Owen Hart didn't go anywhere else. I mean, yeah, he may have made a quick stop at WCW for, really early in WCW. But again, he's in WWE. He's been with WWE. He's a multi-time Intercontinental Champion, multi-time Tag Team Champion, a King of the Ring winner. So, former European champion. So again, this is something that bugs a lot of people, is that you have the wife of the deceased who has wholeheartedly proclaimed and decreed that they will never, ever put Owen Hart in the WWE Hall of Fame, along with his own family, with with Brett, with Davey Boy, with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, with his father that's in the Hall of Fame. He will never join them. As Martha Hart has, basically just, trashed on the Hall of Fame, saying that it's a fake entity. How is it a fake entity? I mean, granted, it's not like the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's not like Cooperstown, where, oh yeah, people flock to it every year. There's a big induction ceremony, and then you have a plaque there and maybe some memorabilia there, and then they sell Hall of Fame stuff, maybe with your T-shirt or a pin or something like that. Or it's not like the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not like the Football Hall of Fame. It's not like those other Hall of Fames where they have a set building and they have people flock to it year in, year out, and it's not in a set location. Wrestling really hasn't had, wrestling promotions don't necessarily have a base operation Hall of Fame place where people can come and flock to every day of every year. And let me just trying to fix this for you guys. But okay. So yeah, there's no set place like those places. But granted, there technically is a, I mean, not really technically, there is a place uh, in Waterloo, the George Tragos and Lou Thez Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Is the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. And yeah, there is, but to say the least, let's see if I can remember where, find out where it's at. It is in Waterloo, Illinois. If I got my states right. Yeah, or sorry, Iowa. Sorry. In Waterloo, Iowa is the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum. Basically, it is a place to, is a Hall of Fame that recognizes, like Greco-Roman wrestling, um, like high school wrestling, like the Olympic wrestling. But there's also a place there that will celebrate like professional wrestling. Not real, publicly, hyped up and real noticeable, but Owen Hart was acknowledged, was inducted in 2018's class, along with Bruiser Brody, Dan Severn, Booker T. Yeah, he was inducted into that Hall of Fame. And then this past year in 2019, you had Sergeant Slaughter get in. You had Beth Phoenix get in. Bruno Sammartino, Daniel Cormier, I know I'm going to get someone that's going to bash me for that. Daniel Cormier from UFC. Yeah. Thank you, Cormier. Cormier. Can't say it right. I know I can't say it right. But yeah, so, and Bruno Sammartino, Sergeant Slaughter, yeah, they were inducted this past year in 2019. So there is a place where, a lot of professional wrestlers go to get inducted, but it's not really that hyped up and recognized because you don't hear it a lot. It's like, I don't know how to explain that, but it's, while WWE does have a Hall of Fame induction ceremony WrestleMania weekend, and they honor, ring, the ring, last couple of years with, custom WWE title plates. And they, every time they come up, they get introduced as, and they're officially recognized as WWE Hall of Famers. Like Shawn Michaels is a Hall of Famer. Booker T, two-time Hall of Famer with with himself and Harlem Heat. Ric Flair, two-time Hall of Famer with himself and the Four Horsemen. So again, it just depends on how you view Hall of Fames. And the same thing with TNA. They put the Dudley Boys in. They put Earl Hebner in. But again, it just depends on how you view the Hall of Fame aspect. But to say that WWE will never have Owen Hart honored, that is kind of not right. I understand that, the term that time heals all wounds. But to say, to outright, wholeheartedly decree that even along with your kids, after you pass away, which more than likely is going to happen with the kids, it's going to say we do not want Owen Hart put in the Hall of Fame. But to say the least, to not even allow him to be with his brothers, his own brother and his family in the Hall of Fame, that a lot of fans, his fans, Owen Hart fans, Hart family, foundation family, fans are not going to, see that day come because the wife is not wanting to have WWE profit off of his name. It's just a sad thing. It would be different, what, if Martha's like, okay, you guys can honor him, like if this, telling the fans, like, you guys can honor him, we'll put him in the Hall of Fame, but we want to do a contract with WWE. Anything you guys do, and you can be witness. I'll even have witnesses of out other than the Hart family that in anything and everything to do with Owen Hart, any royalties directly go to the Hart Foundation or the Owen Hart Foundation. That would be something cool, because you got these fans that are like, we want to see him in the Hall of Fame. Now, granted, since with this the Dark Side of the Ring, the first time in years, in 21 years, there is now 2 t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com, and all the proceeds go to the Owen Hart Foundation. So there are 2 Owen Hart t-shirts out right now that you can go and order on prowrestlingtees.com and know that your money is going to his foundation that his wife has created to help out with I have to find my notes here. With that, it helps with programs, low-income families, individuals to purchase homes, and scholarship programs for students. So again, it goes to a great cause. But yeah, it's just crazy to see what's happened, and I hope you guys go out and check this documentary on with the Dark Side of the Ring. Has covered a lot of stuff you would not really hear much about, but you've heard it, but you just don't know a lot of the deeper rungs that have gone through, like with Chris Benoit, with the with the Von Erichs family tragedy. Now, granted, there is a WWE DVD out there with the Von Erichs, and you'll get to hear more about that. You'll see more about that, but it's to do 2 different contrasts. But there's others that they've done. They've done the Benoit. They've done Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. They've done the Road Warriors. They've done the Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and his problem with or not really problem, but his accusation / death of his girlfriend. That whole story, if you haven't really heard of it, go out and check it out. But yeah, they've done some really interesting shows on some dark history in the wrestling business. But that is going to be it for me. No, we've talked. Actually, one last little bit. Devon Dudley has announced his retirement from active in-ring competition, so he's done. He is hanging up the boots. But yeah, that is going to be it for me. We've had a lot of things to talk about this week here on the Week in Review show. Some of it was fun, some of it was eye-opening and interesting, to say the least, but very, very well rounded, week per se. Don't forget, you guys, that AEW Double or Nothing will happen this Saturday on pay-per-view. Go out and check that out. And for all of you fantasy football lovers and football aficionados out there that want to get yourself ready for fantasy football season, you know what the business is here on the Flex Network. We got you covered. We'll get you that info you need. So come on over and check out our past podcasts last couple weeks. We're getting you guys ready for the fantasy football season. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter for your fantasy football needs at the Flex Network 1 for all your football and fantasy football needs. Of course, you'll want to be following us here on the wrestling side of the world at FlexNet_PW Elite. Sorry, yeah, get on the right hand. Elite. You want to follow us for your wrestling pleasure. But yes, be sure to check us out on YouTube and our Facebook. We'll keep you up to date and get you guys that info for fantasy football and your wrestling needs. And we out of here. This has been a good week. I am the SnowMan, and we will see you later. Peace.
World order.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. This right here is the Flex Network. Yeah. Flex on the G.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Well,